letters and stuff, and try to get something done on these old buildings. It's just sitting there with the roofs falling and stuff. Other than that, we just trying to put out fires when they come up with weeds, trash, grass, and out vehicles and stuff like that, and just steadily working on it. So, any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, let's see, Corporal Phillips, Police Department. You good? All right, sounds good. Let's see, Mr. Trashman.
Mayor.
And your tardiness is excused. I got your text message.
Thank you, sir. That makes a difference. Mayor, members of the council, members of the audience, Charlie L. Williams Jr., City of Tarrant Department of Public Works, garbage man.
I'm sorry, garbage man.
Yes, sir, garbage man.
Gotta get titles correct up here. There's a difference.
Garbage.
Mr. Garbage Man.
Garbage comes from the household, trash, rubbish at the curb.
Okay.
At the curb. Yes, sir. It makes a difference. First of all, let me say thank you to Tarrant PD. On Saturday, we were called out initially to a tree down in Franklin Park. We took care of that, and we had an assignment that we were going to do at the public library. Since I only had two individuals out helping me at the library, there were about 15 individuals walking up and down the street looking at some expensive equipment on the back of the truck. And so we were trying to keep an eye on the equipment and prune, cut grass, and what have you. So I called dispatch, and dispatch sent out Officer Ogasi. And when Officer Ogasi got there, everybody left. There wasn't even a mosquito on the street. So I really want to thank him for his professionalism and the way he handled that matter. But really have one big word, and we all know that: rain. Rain, rain, rain. I was tired because I was out on 79. Didn't call a crew in because I was headed here anyway to readjust our barrels right now. It's Highway 79. We are beginning to get some cooperation from the state, ALDOT. Right now, it can't come fast enough because we have issues with two locations down by Taco Bell and at Spring Street. But we have shared with the director of Division 3 that we need some help right there, because when Highway 79 merges into a one lane, we have a lot of problem with vehicles trying to get braking done right there, and individuals are going up on that median, and then you have oncoming traffic that's having issues. But again, we're working with ALDOT to get signage, but also mainly to do some modification of those storm drains there. With that being said, you know, we always talked about our mowing operation. I'm going to deviate from that a little bit this evening. One of the biggest problems that we're facing now with regards to infrastructure is cave-ins. Because of all of the moisture and the saturation of the soils, we're beginning to have cave-ins that are threatening the way we move around in the city of Tarrant. We have a major cave-in up on 300 block of North Pine Hill Road. And we've had to call in engineers to take a look at that because it's so saturated, and you have one way in and one way out. So if we were to have an emergency, that could possibly be a life and death situation. So these are the emergency situations that we're having. It's affecting our asphalt, our roadways. We are now, instead of just having potholes, we're having now chunks and patches of asphalt that is coming up the size of plates. And we just can't put asphalt there. We have to come in and cut out patches. Some of the areas I'll speak of, we have East Lake and Grave Street, whereby we're gonna have to just half of that area in there, about 30 feet by 20 feet, that has to be cut out. That's on the East Lake portion. Then on Grave Street itself, we have about 16 feet by 10 feet that we're going to have to cut out. These are not patches. On Buchanan and McDavid, we thought that was a pothole. That's a total deterioration of asphalt because of the weathering of the streets. So what we're looking at, we rode throughout the city and try to look at our worst areas for these emergency patches. And bearing with the weather bearing with us, we can get started on with the emergency in all quickness. One other thing, our storm drains. We started last week running routes on our storm drains. We probably have about 15 more to take a look at throughout the city. Some of the storm drains, and the question, well, I'll go back to the question that was raised to me. Why do you have these mounds of dirt stacked beside the storm drains in the middle of the street? Well, it was because the crews had actually cleaned the storm drains out, but we came back the next morning to pick up the materials that were in it. Some of these storm drains had not been cleaned in the past 2 years. So that was a part of our flooding
That is true.
situation. And
No, that is true. They have been cleaned in 2 years.
2 years. So, and again, I have individuals who have, and I've only lost one individual since I have been in the position that I now hold, only one. And so with that being said, everybody else, my labor supervisor, my CEO, my truck drivers, they have all been there more than 2 years, some more than 2 years. But again, we have routes now for our storm drain system. The only system that I cannot effectually change is basically Highway 79, but we're getting the cooperation there. That being said, I'll end.
Charlie, can you tell the council and the city the storm drains that you have already cleaned out so they can actually drive by them and kind of see the difference?
Sure. Some of the ones that we picked up today, off the top of my head, Hanover, right off of Hanover Street, and Jackson, Thompson, primarily Thompson and Jackson. All the ones on Jefferson Avenue. As a matter of fact, we contacted the city of Birmingham today. As a matter of fact, the mayor. Those storm drains up on that end, and a ditch was blocked. And so we shared that with them because that was leaving the water to come off 50th, I think that is, coming straight down into old Tarrant High School. So that was an issue right there with flooding. But we have ran routes. Let's see, we've gone as far as ditches. We were on Etowah Street. That was in 2200 block Etowah Street. We had blockage there. The ditch was overgrown, but also a blockage directly across the street. So we're cleaning our ditches and what have you. But again, I've only lost one employee, and this individual went to another municipality with a promotion. So with that being said, again, we're doing things now to be more efficient. There were times that we had an opportunity to do make do. There may be some short-term things that we can do, but for longevity's sake, we can invest in things now. But if we don't, particularly in some of these areas where I'm talking about, we need quick patches. This winter will tell the story, because once we get rain inside those cracks, and call those alligator cracks. Once the water get in there, freezes, probably storm flood. Yeah. Once that water freezes underneath, all that asphalt is coming up, and we have to beat that before it gets into the storm drain. So this winter will tell the tale if we do not act now. Question.
When do you expect to get the estimate for the repair work that needs to be done on North Pine Hill Road?
I received the engineering specs today, a little while ago. I'll have that to you, sir.
Okay.
And then I'll have contractors taking a look at it. So,
Okay.
yes, sir. One other thing, if you would allow me to, sir, I will be more than willing to get you the list of all of the storm drains that we have cleaned out.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's do that so we can put that out there. And also, going back to the North Pine Hill Road, that resident actually contacted me through the Tarrant Facebook group, What's Happening in Tarrant, and he had made mention that if that retaining wall collapsed, they won't have access to their property.
That is true. One way in, one way out. And
So would you classify that as an
That is
emergency?
an emergency, because it's something that is beyond, our skills, in-house skills. And because also the seepage now is coming through and under the road, we're looking at potentially with regard to that particular stretch of road, a catastrophic, event. And again, one way in and one way out.
Okay. And that's, I think that's District 5, if I'm not mistaken. Tommy, isn't that your district?
That is District 5.
Okay.
Questions?
I have a question, but not about anything you just said. I don't know if this is to go to you or Mr. Ferris, but however, at the bottom of McDavid, right there, the first house before you get to Buchanan,
Okay,
some people have moved there.
okay.
They have filled their garbage in, and they've got bags of garbage on the ground.
All right. Will that be on the left side?
Coming up, it's gonna be on your right, because I was coming back from off the Tarrant Road and going home,
We'll check, okay, we'll check the address.
because it's nasty.
Okay, we'll check the address first thing in the morning. We'll check.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What's the status of, Ms. Stark's, house?
No more than I saw her in passing on this past Saturday on the way to the tree of Franklin Park. And, she's still going through what she's going through.
Were you and Counselor Bryant able to go? I know, Counselor Bryant, you said you wanted to go
I
out
did-
there.
I wasn't able to go yet. I do intend to get with you and
Okay.
look, but with the rain and with my back and everything, it's been a struggle.
That big word rain. I do understand.
Okay. Well, we really need to get on that because that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yes, sir. It is going to be costly. Yes, sir.
I'm looking at our 7-cent gas tax, 4 and 5 cents and 10 cents. We're gonna have about $170,000 there that I think can be used for patching, but that's nowhere near what it's gonna take for all this road. So with 12 years on the council and knowing what's happened in the past, you're absolutely right. We have a catastrophe in front of us with this rain and freezing weather and everything, because it is very expensive to pave roads. And so you letting the people know about this ahead of time is good. Because we're looking at a big expense.
Any other questions or concerns? Two oh five, 849, you're gonna reach, me at, let me back up, we'll go from that number to the back phone, 205-212-4565. That's 205-212-4565. That's gonna be hard, that's the cell phone. It's gonna be hard to catch me in the office, because, we're working with Mr. Evans to make sure that our parks are the best they could possibly be. Todd and his, TVA, we're all, in this together, corporate fields, and we're trying to give you the best city of Tarrant that you can possibly have. Again, I'm not going to reflect what happened prior to my taking, this, position, accepting this position. However, I'm a big boy, I'll take my blows. I don't like when people pick on my employees, but I can take my blows. So if, those who really are concerned about, our employees, and I'm speaking of the individuals who are, below assistant director, give them a pat on the shoulder sometimes, say you're doing it. However, you see one of my employees doing something that they should not be doing, speeding, leaving paper and trash, let us know. I don't need your name. Just say when, where. I can pretty much narrow it down from that. But right now, I would say to you, the commitment and the professionalism that is out there now is better than it has ever been, because people see what I see. And that's what we need. Thank you much.
All right, thank you. Next, let's see, who do we have? So, Electric department. So, are you gonna talk about you're just gonna give just a general overview of?
Yes, sir, really was gonna talk about the budget.
Okay, so let's, let me talk to the council. Would you guys like to go into your finance committee as well as your utility committee to speak with them? That way it won't be redundant. Or, you know, we can just have a committee of the whole. Talk about it.
Our one next week, our utility meeting next week.
This budget needs to be passed this week. Well, I guess we'll just have a committee of the whole.
I was just gonna tell Scott, I think Scott, what he's doing an outstanding job. And it's kind of him being, talking about the stuff that he's getting the football program going, and it makes me, it makes me want to step my game up. But working with him and Charlie and Officer Fields is a pleasure. But what's going on at the electric department, we've been talking about the budget. I've been meeting with Mr. Davis and Mr. Newton about getting some things for my department, some equipment, which would make it easier to get in some of these spots that we have to get in. Trucks, we got, the last truck we bought was in 2008. The one I'm replacing, I think was bought in 2001. And our bucket truck, we work in high voltage in, the oldest one we have is 22 years old. And, so some of these things, and getting a bucket truck is 2 years.
What's the newest one you have? Just
The newest bucket truck we have, 2012. Every one of our buckets are old. And getting a bucket truck is 2 years away. If we ordered it today, stuff that's going on that's just out of my hands. But some of these trucks, I mean, some of the backyards, some of the things I'm asking for would really make it a lot easier for me.
You talking about the backyard digger, is that what you're talking about? Explain to us what a backyard digger is. It's not an individual out there with a pick and shovel.
Are you referring to the trucks, or are you talking about the digger?
The digger, well,
Okay.
that makes it easier, backyard machines.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that I priced, you can go in the backyard, set a 50-foot pole, and you can work it out. It's got a bucket that goes with it too, so you can put somebody up there and work it out, work the line out, change it over with that backyard machine. We just had we had everybody out Father's Day, all night Father's Day, and then till about 2 o'clock the next day, we sank a bucket truck up to the rim, had 2 flat tires trying to get it out, had to pull it out with Charlie's backhoe. So I mean, it's just real hard to get in some of these spots. It'd make it a lot easier, but anyway.
Explain how it is different from anything else that we've got so far.
Well, this thing right here will go through a 36-inch gate. You can
36-inch gate,
and it sets feet down like this.
yes.
And you can set the pole, go up in a bucket and work the line out. And some of the spots that I was looking at on Tarrant Huffman Road is grown up, we can't get to it. We can go up in that thing and cut some of those lines out that's burning. The trees are burning.
It runs on tracks.
Yes.
Okay, and it will go through a 36-inch wide
It comes
gate.
up, the feet pull up and it'll walk
Okay,
through a gate, 36 inches.
okay, if you're going in someone's yard, and if you're, think about what I'm talking about, you know why I'm saying this. You go in someone's yard and it has a, septic tank. Can you go over the septic tank with it without it crushing in?
It's a lot lighter than a bucket truck, I'm gonna have to get. I'll have to
So
get back with you on
if you
that.
put down like 3/4 inch plywood over the septic tank or something like that, that would probably
It
help
would
it float
help, but
over.
I don't think I don't think you're gonna have the problems you would with a bucket truck that you would with this backyard machine. It ain't near the size of that.
Yeah, and because we're gonna have, you got a lot of problems like that, you know what I'm saying? You got a lot of
Yeah,
yards that's
absolutely.
got that, and I'm trying to bring that out so people will know.
I don't know how much it weighs, but I don't think you're gonna have as much, I don't think I'm not gonna say you're not gonna crush, but getting it in people's backyards is gonna be a lot easier than trying to take somebody's gate down and drive a bucket truck up in somebody's yard when a pole breaks in somebody's backyard.
And a lot of stuff here is sewer too.
What?
A lot of stuff here is sewer.
Yeah.
Like out on Black Creek Road, you got lots of things, but here in the inner city, it's no sewer.
But, that's just stuff that is in the budget that we need. Yeah, he's got pictures
Picture of
of
it.
how bad we had
That's
one,
what a backyard machine
one of
looks
the,
like.
oh, he's got pictures of back machine.
Show it,
You
David.
can pass it
Yeah.
down, show it, so. The other thing, I mean, we got spots like Father's Day weekend, if that pole would've been broke, we wouldn't be able to get it back up. Luckily, the pole wasn't broke, but we could not physically get there to it.
And this will handle a 50-foot pole.
Yeah,
If we'd had that, we could've got to
we
it.
could, that pole that's right there on your hill, that needs to be reset.
We could go right.
We can walk it right there to that pole and set it.
So you know why I was asking these questions.
You see, there, I mean, you got the gardens, you got, down there behind Bud Richardson, when you go up left, on the left down through there. Them places right there, when the rain, and like that night, we was down in the garden, off that wall. And that's the line that goes up on the infield circle, and you got that wall right over here. The amount of rain that we've been having, you can't get, it's hard to get a truck in there anyways when it's dry, but you can't get.
We had one of our smaller bucket trucks sank up to the frame, and if it would've broke, we'd have had to take our bigger truck in there, and it's even bigger than that.
If it
So,
broke, you wouldn't be able to get a digger truck to it. I mean, you would, they've just been about fire until we could have ran them.
But that's what we've been talking about here recently with Mr. Davis and Mr. Newton and stuff we've been doing. I mean, little update on the 44 pole. I've ordered them, I've ordered the switches, I'm waiting on the switch people to turn the drawings in to the engineer so he can, the pole guy was calling me today about specking the holes out for the switches. So that's, I mean, they're still probably about 12 weeks out.
2 weeks.
One part on that backyard machine though, past years, you know, like every 3 or 4 years, we'll contract Ashland out to do trimming to places we can't get. Well, if we got that backyard machine, we can get to them, so we wouldn't have to contract Ashland out, we could do it ourselves. And that backyard machine, I mean, keeping it in, we'll keep it inside our shop, that thing should
Comes with
last
trailer.
20+ years. I mean, we got a dairy truck right now, an old dairy truck we use, which, you know, if we get this backyard machine, we can surplus it, but it's like a late 80s model, early 90s. So, I mean, it'd be something that would last, it'd be beneficial to the company for a long time.
Okay.
That's it. All I got.
Are there any other questions?
Where's his phone?
It's down
I'm looking at the rest of the pictures.
I was gonna give him free phone.
split off his truck stuff. How do you tell when the street lights are out during the day? Several of them
The
on
only
Ford
way that-
Avenue, those new ones are out.
Yeah, I noticed on
The
the.
poles, the new little posts they put up, several of
On
those are
Ford,
out.
yeah. I
What,
noticed.
what street?
Ford Avenue, from the library down to Pinson Street.
Are you talking
Some
about
of
the black
those.
poles?
Yeah, the little, the little
The
ones.
decorative poles?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
there's several of them
I'll
out.
go by there and I'll mark them tonight. I'll try to fix them. I'll try to fix them.
It's just, some people might be scared to get out at night because they don't have enough light.
Sometimes what I do is when I get called in, I'll drive down the street and see which lights are out and mark them.
We used to have a police officer that rode by and took pictures of them, and the numbers of the posts at night.
You know what, I have a police officer in mind, so I'll have
Come
him,
back the next morning and fix it.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? I mean, you have the budget in front of you, so we've kind of opened up this Pandora's box, so.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have a question, but what I really would like to happen, now this budget, I'm not worried about, I've looked at it, but I would like, and I'd love to have the opportunity that when we start to have a budget or have a problem like this, to have the finance committee to meet with our accountant and go over our funds and
Okay.
how much.
Actually, our accountant is right here, so we
Yeah,
can,
but
we
not-
can meet with them now.
Well,
That's why I only put one thing on the agenda tonight, so we can have all the time that we need to do what we have to do to actually get this through.
all right, give me just a minute to think a second now,
Okay. Take as much time as you need.
okay?
Mr. Davis, do you mind actually coming to the podium? I'm pretty sure Councilor Bryant is gonna have some questions for you. And Todd, you might as well stay up there as well. And Councilor Bryant, I did provide you, I had, Mr. Davis come up with a financial report for, looks like, first quarter and second quarter.
You did?
Okay, have we got all that new stuff we gotta have
For the post, that was, no, that came out of the general fund. So that's not good. Because we have to
Mr.
go ahead
Davis,
and get that order.
in the past, we have tried to have a, hedge fund surplus, or whatever we would like to call it, that in case of some unforeseen tragedy or whatever, that we would have.
Talking about a reserve?
Yes.
That's required through TVA. What's the required reserve?
Well, they, the reserve we got a fund balance, unreserved fund balance from the previous year, about $1.9 million. And this budget is projected to be a surplus of $573,000 this year, about 6% of the budget. The revenues that we're gonna generate, we have about 500, well, at least I got projected 573,000. And you can see on the page. But we do have reserve, we do have over $1 million, 1.9 million.
And this 500,000 will be in addition to what,
Right.
into that? Okay, and that was my question, that was the biggest thing right there, so I'm satisfied.
On page 11, you see that 535. And that's the net income, what we projected as far as the revenues we're gonna generate, as well as the expenditures. And the biggest expenditure, of course, is gonna be the TVA.
Right.
For them, the power we buy from them. Then, of course, always personnel or human resources. Then you got the expenditure. And then you got the section dealing with capital, which we usually finance for the backhoe and the other items that's on page 12. that we plan on. And we also have debt service, a debt service bond, that we refinanced back in 2017. It's on the books. And we do have some reserve in that account to offset that in the bond fund, that we have. So we also have that one. So that's how it's overall divided up into those three different revenues and expenditures for the general side. Then you got the debt service and the capital projects for the capital items. And anything you consider capital, anything that's gonna cost, typical one item is gonna cost over $5,000 or project will be considered a capital item. And as you see, we have the infrastructure security, the information technology. One of the things we're concerned about is that, these hackers are invading small utility companies. I think they got like 4 or 5 in the state of Alabama.
Actually, I heard that, they got the school board right here in the city of Tarrant School Board.
And they got the city of Leeds. Over the years, they picked Huntsville school system they've got. So they just randomly selected to see who they can get into, hold your ransom, and hopefully we can put some controls in place. We've been speaking with Mr. Smoke, and to see what we can do to put in place so when they come in and set up a good firewall, keep them. And I don't know how many of y'all know how this stuff works, but it's a simple process they do, and they get in. Most folks stuff will stop it, and they just send out something and see if they can creep in. I used to know how to do it, but I got scared once I did something I shouldn't have. I forgot about it. So I know how it works. But those are the things that we have here, and also we're gonna get in here, the backhoe digger, and a new pickup truck from there. And the bucket truck we talked about is 2 years out. So we do it, we have to go in and place the order. And then 2 years when they make them, then we'll have one available. So that's what I got, 2 years out, and the other items we'll finance over a period of time. But as far as the reserve itself, we got a very healthy reserve. And like I said, we anticipate on having about 6% of the budget left over, everything goes. That's plenty.
Okay, my thought is this, this is capital improvements proposal. I'd like to hear the council's thought about going ahead and instead of being a proposal, go ahead and add it in the budget. Is that something that you think would be very, very good to do? Would we put it in there now?
Well, in the budget, like when you present the budget, you just propose it. Then if you ought to approve it, then it's no longer, it's proposed to a point because we know what we're eligible to spend
Right.
in that contract. So yes, so you can go ahead and,
Would that be something that we could do tonight and actually because interest rate is low, and would we be floating a bond or would we be borrowing money from the bank or how
well,
would
the
we go?
chances are with this, we would probably just be able to finance it through a bank.
Okay,
And we'll probably get favorable interest, as you said, the interest rates are low, so we should be able to get favorable interest rate. And plus, we deal with this bank, and we got money in the account, so everything should work favorable for us as far as the interest rate.
okay. As chairman of the finance committee, I would like to see this come to fruition, whichever way the mayor wants to have it introduced or whatever. I'm for, because of the favorable finances that we've had, which I've been on the finance committee for several years, and I've seen the report, and I'm talking to Mr. Davis. I understand what he's saying, and which is very favorable. I would like to see these things considered by the council to go ahead and propose them and have them,
Well, I think, can't we just approve the the resolution that we have attached, if we approve the resolution, it includes the proposed capital.
Well, it wouldn't include, we have to add the capital.
We'd have to add the capital, okay.
We could just make the resolution, I mean, can make a motion, put it on there.
Okay, yeah.
From that, but this is, you know, capital is a little different than the general.
Mhm.
The capital is a long-term debt, and you wanna make sure, you know what you're getting into, but we do have the finances to do it, so this side is just a proposal where the budget is, what we anticipating on.
And this is a good time to do it with
Yes.
finances like they are, and the
They're
economy
doing
seems
now,
like
they're
it's
going back
coming
up.
up,
Right,
and,
and I mean, we have the money, if we want to, we can just pay for it, we don't wanna do that, but you can, so it's not like we don't have the money. And even when we get to a point, certain point, when you have a certain reserve, excessive over a certain amount, then that's when you go back and lower the customs rate. Only.
I wasn't gonna say that, but
Well, no, but
but
this is
now-
how it works, it's
but,
nothing,
so-
but this is how it works.
yes,
And like I say, we can do it with, with this here with no problem, but it's just best for any type of government agency to know when you get into debt, to know. But this is debt you got the fund, if you want to, just pay it off. So if you want to, but I would recommend going here since we got very low favorable
Yeah.
interest rate at.
exactly.
So Councilor Bryant, would you be willing to introduce this resolution with the amendment
I'd be-
that
I'd be
we
tickled
include
to.
the capital improvement proposal?
I'd be tickled to do that. And one thing for our citizens, I don't know if you understood what he said, but, with things going well, there may come a time where your power bill will be reduced because we have enough, finances that's favorable to do that. Just put it like that, yeah.
It's a nonprofit, TVA is nonprofit.
Yeah.
What is it, nonprofit.
So, we're-
But this is the TVA is a total different entity, from the city. And so that's why it works like that. With the city side, it's totally different. But with there, once you get to a certain reserve, they may require you to reduce the rates for a month or two, based on the reserve, if we don't spend it on things to keep, provide adequate service, for the, customers of the utility.
Very good. I'll be tickled to introduce it.
Are we gonna have a rate increase this year?
Wasn't it?
TVA rate increase?
I'm sorry,
Are we gonna have a TVA rate increase this year?
not that I know of.
Yeah, the TVA comes out and tells you what you need to do.
Yeah, but it's about this time of year, isn't it?
But what they normally do is they give us a rate every month. So every time we send the bills in, when we send in, the bills we pay, we send everything up, every month, the rates, they'll tell us what the rates are going to be. But he helps me with that, and actually, he does most of the work, I just review it. But when we get to every week, every month, they send us a report, and they'll tell us, these are the rates, we have to look at them and make sure they're in line. It may be a small change, and then, once we say, okay, they'll send them like that.
Any more questions for Mr. Davis? Oh, while you're actually up here, on the check ledger, you have something crossed out, and I know Councilor Anderson, she whispered to me when we first got here, that was her pet peeve. Can you explain your rationale behind doing that and
Well,
why
now
you?
this side up here, the distribution remarks, that's not the deal, but it's when the name is,
Yeah, we changed it because I knew what she was talking about, because we were taking out like, in the case, the name or the name out as well as the other. And, but I only wanted the distribution, another thing that was personal, and that was personal information. Those items
Yeah.
that we have, like I have no impact on the city financial is just that any type of garnishment, whatever, fine, that's taken out. And, because in this either case, some of the person name that we have to submit to either the sheriff at the county or the state attorney general or whatever. So we just blacked out, so we just, after I realized what you was referring to, we just left the name that the check was paid to, but it doesn't show the person or the reason why that money was taken out. And again, this money is taken out of an individual check and sent to the proper authority. And it had nothing to do with us paying anything, it just, they're taking it out of their check for bankruptcy, wage garnishment, or whatever.
It just seems like, I think in the past, maybe it's just been listed, I mean, I don't think the names have been listed in the past, maybe it just said garnishee or something like
Yeah,
that.
they were listed, when I got here, the information was listed, I thought it was too private, shouldn't have been exposed, of people, whatever reason, or whatever. And so, but I looked at it, but I wasn't aware that they were blocking the names. The names are out there, so that's nothing to hide, but it's just to the court, to whomever, and that's what we send the money to. But we'll take out a case number or the name of the person who's paying that fine.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Davis? And actually, I would like to take this time to introduce Bradley Golden. He is an accountant in our electric department, and he started, what, about a month ago? May 9th. Okay.
Bradley Bolden?
Golden.
Golden.
He is good.
And you do what, accounts receivable or?
I do, and I handle more of the, operations. I handle the accounts payable, the billing.
Okay.
And then, watch the,
Yeah, I think he took my bill.
Okay.
You gotta know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he
Everybody's
took my
cross,
bill
yeah,
today.
it's all
When
cross-trained,
we
so,
didn't get bills that month, and I come down here and paid.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Davis. So the time is now 6:58. I apologize because I forgot to put something on the agenda that should have been put on the agenda. Tracy, this is the, you did the public hearing
For the liquor
for
license,
the liquor license.
and it's on the agenda for us to.
You know, and we gotta give notice if we're gonna have a public hearing.
We didn't do a public hearing, we had the committee meeting, and,
Yeah, but there has to be, there's gonna have to be a public hearing when we actually vote on it.
okay.
So, I apologize. It's totally my fault. So I did not put, your liquor license application on the agenda for tonight. But I'm fairly confident that it's gonna get approved. So you have my word that it will be on the next agenda. The next council meeting is the,
Second of August, Mayor.
I think it's gonna be, yep, August 2nd.
So no more reading stuff.
And I'll tell you, you have my vote, so. And then, wasn't it approved unanimously by the committee?
Well, Mr. Bryant, one president, Councilwoman Freeman and myself present. So
Okay.
yes, the majority of the committee did, agree.
Okay. So I think
Well,
you
we
have
normally go off of your recommendation.
3 votes, so I feel confident. I think everyone up here wants some margaritas in the city, so. All right,
Not a Mexican restaurant.
so the time is now 7 o'clock. Let's go into our official council meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. I would like Todd McGill to do the lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Reverend Caldwell with the word of prayer.
Eternal merciful God, we come just now as humble as we know how, but we come with a spirit of appreciation to you for every blessing that you have bestowed upon each of us. We thank you, Lord God, for this opportunity. We thank you for tonight, Lord God, and we pray in Jesus' name that you will be merciful unto us, that you will show your kindness unto us. And we pray in Jesus' name, Lord God, as we gather, that we can gather on one accord. We ask in Jesus' name, Lord God, that you will bless this city, that you will bless our mayor, that you will bless our city council. We ask in Jesus' name, Lord God, for growth like never before here in the city of Tarrant, Alabama. We pray in Jesus' name that you would give them wisdom and knowledge, Lord God, to take us to the next level that we need to be taken to, for physical, emotional, and spiritual growth. In doing so, we will be careful to give you the honor, we will give you the praise. In Jesus' name we pray and ask all blessings. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we've extended the offer to the city clerk applicant that we voted on at the last council meeting, and she has accepted it. However, due to some things going on with her current position, she's not going to be able to start until the 1st of September. And so as a result of that, we're still going to actually have to appoint a temporary clerk for tonight. And Mr. Davis has been so gracious enough to agree to be that person. So the chair will entertain a motion appointing Willie Davis as our temporary clerk.
I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Willie Davis as our temporary clerk.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Davis, can we please have a roll call?
Councilmember Freeman,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Is that me?
Councilmember Blake,
I'm here.
Councilmember Drexler,
Here.
Councilmember Matthews. Here. Mayor Lee.
Present. We have a quorum. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes. You have before you minutes from the July 7th meeting. Have an opportunity to look at it and to suggest any corrections if needed. If there are no corrections or additions, the chair will entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from 7/7/2021 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? Seeing none, hearing none. Mr. Davis, can we please have a vote?
Okay, Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Drexler,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
Yes.
Mayor Lee.
Yes, motion passes. Next on the agenda, communications from my office. I'll keep this as brief as possible. We have several events coming up in the city. The first event that I would like to make note of is on July 24th, which is this Saturday at 9 a.m. at Lily Baptist Church in Brumet Heights. My office and the Brumet Heights Civic League are hosting a meeting. It's called Breakfast with the Mayor, where citizens from the Brumet Heights community and across Tarrant can come, and if they have any issues or concerns that they would like to address, they can address them with me as well as my department heads over breakfast. And so that's going to be at 9 a.m. This Saturday. And with that being said, I know that several people had said that they asked me, well, why are you doing something in Brumet Heights and not other neighborhoods? If there's another neighborhood that would like to host a breakfast with the mayor, I'll be more than happy to put that on. So if you would like to set something up in your neighborhood, all you have to do is call me and call my office, or you can reach out to your council member and we'll make that happen. Next, on August the 7th, we're going to have a Peace in the Street rally. And what that's going to be, it's going to be a back to school celebration, as well as a means of the faith-based community here in Tarrant, along with our police department and our government, our local government, to encourage our kids to have a safe and productive school year. And so we're going to host a prayer breakfast that morning. I believe it's going to be at 7, but we're still trying to confirm everything, and it's still up in the air in terms of whether or not it's going to be hosted at a local church or whether or not it's going to be hosted at the rec center. But either way, it's open to the public, and we really would ask and encourage everyone to come. And following the breakfast, we're going to have a march from the rec center down to City Hall. And following the parade, we're going to have a fun day where we're going to give out school supplies. It's a school supply drive for students, as well as we're going to have different activities here for them to do. And so for the school supply drive, we're going to be accepting donations of school supplies. And you can drop those donations off at the public safety building, or you can drop them off here at City Hall. If you come here to City Hall, just let the person know at the counter that these are some school supplies for the Peace in the Street rally on August the 7th.
Do you have like a certain list of stuff?
Well, that's what we were asking for, but it's our understanding that Tarrant doesn't provide that list, doesn't make it public, because I think they actually go out and buy the supplies and they use it as a fundraiser where they'll sell it to the kids.
But I mean, do you know, like, kind of like these bags that you're gonna fix to give out, are you gonna try to put like certain things?
Well, just your
'Cause I'm
normal.
just thinking about going and buying stuff, but
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like to know
yeah.
what-
Well, I mean, normal school supplies, pencils, paper, folders, rulers, glue.
Mayor, the kids, need copy paper, just a pack of copy paper, cause they use the computers a lot.
Okay.
And glue, pencils, of course, they don't use pencils a whole lot if we're gonna have computers, and hand sanitizer.
Okay.
Yeah, paper towels, anything like that.
So, I mean, just standard, your standard.
And the
Standard
backpacks,
items.
they ask for clear backpacks, not the netted ones, just clear plastic backpacks.
I'm in the process of trying to work with a nonprofit to see if we can actually get
Okay.
backpacks donated. So,
Okay.
but that's actually good to know that it has to be the clear backpacks.
Okay.
So. And again, I invite the entire community, the council, to come out on August the 7th and participate in that. Also, this Sunday, July 25th at 1 p.m., our Tarrant City Tide 6U team, they're having a fundraiser for it's a local tournament that they're actually trying to go to. And so they're going to be selling food and also providing haircuts. And so if you don't have anything to do this Sunday at 1 p.m., you should go down to the rec and support our local football team. So those are the formal communications. I'm going to ask Mr. Davis to actually come up and give an explanation of the 6 and 9 month finance reports.
Came to the mayor, council members, and to the audience. And what you all have presented is the financial report. And I am aware that I'm going to do this supposedly at least every 6 months. But what I've done, I've got the one for March, which is the first 6 months. And this is our financial status as far as what we budgeted, that was approved back in October of 2020. $9,132,818. And up to the point of March, in the revenue side, we had collected $55,700,540. And comparing that to the prior year of 2020, March of 2020, it was $6,029,105. And year to date, at that particular point, for the first 6 months, we had collected 64.4% of what we had budgeted. And the ideal of the last column, what I got, the ideal year to date, usually want to be at least 50%, because that was the halfway point. And the reason why there was decline, there was about a $300,000 decline, and was mainly due to a decrease in the business license, a building permit of about $20,000. And also they had something on the report, and I talked to that, had something they call a transfer funds from one fund to the other. And I think what happened when they started building, or at least I know what happened, when they started building the new city hall, the bond money hadn't come through, so they took money out of the general fund to pay for, to prepay for a lot of this stuff. Then when the bond money came in, they took the money and put it back. It's sort of, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's sort of like distort your revenues. It's not a revenue, it's basically paying back what you've already taken out. So it sort of distort what your revenues actually are. Revenues is money you're generating from some reason. It's not a repayment of a loan back. So that sort of distorted the figures. So that's part of the reason why that was big declining. And I'll talk more about that later. And so we had the 50%. And then the expenditures was at that point at projected 8.85 million. Year to date was at expenses was $4,426,600. And the prior year, they spent $4.7 million. And year to date, at that particular time, we was at 50.01%, just about break even where we should have been as far as our expenditures. And that's what we were doing the first 6 months. And then since I owe you all one, I went ahead and did the next 3 months through June. And this is 3/4 of the way of the budget, and the revenues year to date, we collected $7,067,823, and the prior year had $7,786,689. Year to date, our revenues at 77.39%, compared to, we was hoping to be at 75. So again, we are favorable here, even though we are behind what they had previously. Now again, some of the things that caused that to make the budget this year appear to be over, going back again to that transfer fund, because they carry on at $395,000. We had tax equivalent that we should be getting in, of the $100,000. And then the occupational tax is down, this time last year, the first 9 months, down $100,000. I have contacted, Avenue and asked them to look at why our business permit taxes and our occupational tax are so low during that time period. And they should be able to research and we'll find out which vendors aren't paying on that. And those are the ones that's primarily were the cause of this big difference. And then you see, I got an actually about at $7,067,000. And again, if I left it in there, I took out $778,306. As I was saying before, just transferred money in and out. And on that project they got up here, the hazardous project off Lawson Road, when we paid the vendor, when the state sent us the money, we put it in the bank and we paid the vendor. Again, that's not revenue for us. It's appeal in the booklets though, but you don't include it in your final number, because again, it distorts your revenue. Because all that is just based on pass-through, a legal pass-through. So the state send the money to us, and we turn around and pay the vendors for the job they're doing. It doesn't cost us anything for that project they're completing. So otherwise, it would have been just as high as this 7.7 million. But nevertheless, our revenues are at 77.39%. And on the expenditure side, everything is, we had year-to-date $6,358,466. And then compared to last year, $6,731,533. And year-to-date, we had 71.884% of our revenues, which is less than the 75%, which is favorable in our interest. Also, I want to make mention of that the City of Tarrant, you know, the American Rescue Plan Act, and we were scheduled to get 1.13 billion. So far, we got the first part of it, $725,382.99 of the 1.13 we were supposed to get. So we received that money. It's in the bank account. It can only be used for special projects that once we decide how we're going to spend it. And they got the limited, very limited limitations on there. And Mr. Williams was talking about a lot of the infrastructure and stuff. And that's one of the things we can use the money if you all in the mayor decide to do so. But we do have half of it in there. I filled out the application 3 days later. You know, when it came open, I filled the application out. 3 days later, the money was in the bank. Very efficient for once. And so that's how.
Unusual.
And they are, and like I indicated, they are not part of the general fund budget. Now, as we drop down, there's the reconciliation of the books. And again, this is in June, ending June 30th of 2021. Our cash balance for the general fund was $4,122,044. Our 7-cent sale tax, gas tax, was $4,362. The 4 and 5 cents gas tax, $116,248.21. 10 cents gas tax was $67,384.81. And we have a general capital project fund account, $217,722.25. We got the City of Tarrant Drug Task Force, $10,377. Correction funds, $100. The E911 got $182,586.34. And the seizure of farms, $13,027.75. And that's when the police officer arrests somebody, and whatever they get, they just put it in their account. Then on the next one, seizure of fund awarded to the city, $9,690. Once the court and everything has been settled, whatever portion the city get, they give it to, the court give it to the city, we put it in this account. So the first account is not really the city money, it's the individual who they got the money for. So overall, we have $4,743,544.19. Now, I don't want us to get excited and happy because we still got 3 more months. And as you work, a lot of your money, you get the first part of the year. And you have to live off that the rest of the year. So I don't want us to say, come September, we do the year end, well, I thought we had $4 million. We do now. Just like you get a check, your bank account, got $1,000, but you got 3 $200 checks out there. Bank account says one thing, but your actual, true of what you may owe and money that's due is not. So, but this is what we had up to that point of June 30th. And if that's it, entertain any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Davis. If you guys have been, if anyone has been driving down Ford Avenue and noticed at the Preservation Park, we're doing some renovations at the park, and I'll have Mr. Garbage Man come and shed some light on that.
Well, I guess I don't have to do the full introduction. Very good. The Preservation Park has been without some fine tuning for a while. From the beginning, from the entryway to the back one, we have a lot of overgrowth that has not been tended to. So we will be, and there's a humongous wasp nest inside there also. So we will be closing the park for a couple of weeks. It's moderately used, individuals walking through, but not as well as it could be. We're working with TVA to get the electricals worked out, and also we're gonna paint and refurbish the fountain, so the fountain will be back in use. But for the park, but for just letting you know and public awareness that we will be closing the park, we will have it taped off, so individuals will not be going inside there. And we will be doing that expeditiously to get all of the junk stuff up out of there and come back with. We have a few neighborhood partners who are interested in helping us, and they will be coming out from time to time to assist us as we coordinate with them. With that. And I would like to, since I have the podium, Mr. Mayor, I have a piece of equipment that has been sitting on our lot. My understanding is for almost 3 years. And if I may, sir, I'd like to pass my phone down. The reason it is just.
That one. Let me ask you a question. Who got that big, earth mover,
The bulldozer?
bulldozer?
Yes, sir. TVA is not to utilize it to assist us in opening a road.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay.
That piece of equipment right there has been sitting up, my understanding is almost 3 years, because the repairs, and there are 3 pictures of it, the repairs of that Massey Ferguson outweigh the cost of the vehicle itself. Basically, the only part that is usable or can be reused is the arm attachment. So that in and of itself is part of the reason why we're having to make do with zero turn mowers to do the work that piece of equipment is designed to do. Again, we've raised the decks up on those mowers, cutting things that they're not designed to cut, but we still have to get the job done. I just wanted to share that with you, that this piece of equipment is sitting on the lot as we speak, and no one's operating. No one's being cross-trained or anything. But I just wanted to share with you the need for upgrade of our equipment. And are there any questions
You say no one's been trained to operate it.
When I said no one's being trained or operating that equipment, because we are actually cross-trained, all of our employees on equipment, but that piece of equipment is just sitting there.
But the equipment's not,
It's
it's not running or anything like that.
not in 3 years.
Can we salvage the arm
Yes.
and get another piece of equipment to put that
Yes.
on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that is the only part that can be salvaged.
Then we would put the tractor itself out for disposal
Yes,
through proper procedure.
Yes, sir. If there's nothing else, I was on my way to handle more flooding issues and concerns, so the garbage man will take it up.
Well, I want to say one thing. For those of you that haven't been to Hewitt Park and since Charlie has been here, well, Mr. Garbage Man has been here, I really would encourage you to go to Hewitt Park. That is our flagship park, and we're working every day towards actually, bringing it back to life. And I personally want to thank you because I actually use the park quite a bit, and the people that I run into there, they're always thanking me for the work that you've done.
Well, starting out, again, it's not where we want it to be. Scott, myself, we're working diligently to get it together. I have a flag that we're ready to go up on the pole, the flag pole out there. In order to leave, the flag's up at night. The flag must be lit at night. So we'll be working with, we have lights out there on the pole, but we don't know what the electrical situation is. So we'll be working with Todd and his crews out there to see that we get the lights on. But we do have the flag in. We have to look at the chain up to lower and raise it. However, and we're looking at the restrooms. We're going to do a total revamping of the restrooms just because there is such disrepair. We have some plumbing issues, but not just in Hewitt. We're looking at Brahmin also. So I just want you to understand it's a holistic approach. And we're not taking a make-do attitude with it. Some things are short-term, but we have long-term goals. And again, we have immediate, short-term, long-term. And we're taking immediate action on our restrooms.
And just so the council knows that the bathroom at the park up in Broome and Height is really, it shouldn't be called a bathroom. It looks like an outhouse. So we're gonna make it a point to actually go in and sheet rock it and make it look like an actual restroom as opposed to just an outhouse with a toilet in it. So,
But is there anything else? We are, have folks out trying to get them back in because this is after hour stuff and we're trying to get them back in so they can get at work in the morning.
all right,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you. All right. All right, Charlie, don't forget your phone. Okay, next on the agenda, we have committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
I have mine from the 621 meeting. The Public Safety Committee met. I was present, and Councilwoman Freeman and Wilmer Olmedo. He was the rep for the Secure Zarpe. And Councilwoman Freeman and I both noted that Lieutenant George recommended issuing the license and that there's been no incidents at the restaurant thus far. And so we'll put it to a final vote via the council.
Are there any other committee reports? Okay, is there any old business?
Mayor, I'd like to, thank you again for the social we had. Kathy and I really enjoyed it. The food was delicious. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, but maybe the next time there will be, and we did enjoy it. We didn't talk about politics or nothing, did we?
No.
Mayor?
We just did
talked.
Just have a
drinking
good
and
time.
eating.
Eating, yes. The food
And
was
drinking.
delicious.
And the DJ was on point.
But I thank you for that, Mayor.
Thank you so much for coming out, and I think as we start to do more of those events, then more people will start to come out. And then
It was really
also,
nice.
I was talking with, I believe it was Charlie, and we kind of both agreed. We ask a lot of our employees, and so if they have an option of spending time with their family, chances are they probably don't wanna come and hang out with people that they work with, and especially not getting paid for it. But, I don't wanna to speak prematurely, but I think that we'll probably have another social around Christmas, and I think that we'll probably get better participation,
Yeah.
so,
Well, I appreciate it, we enjoyed it.
thank you. Any other old business? Okay, next, new business, resolution 8814, Tarrant Electric budget fiscal year 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to amend resolution 8814, make a motion to amend it and the capital improvement proposal for $172,500 for the listed equipment be added as part of the budget.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? Mr. Davis, can we please have a vote?
Sure, Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
Yes,
Mayor Newton.
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce resolution number 8814, resolution approving and adopting the operating budget for the City of Tarrant Electric Department for the period beginning July the 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. I have a copy of the budget here. If anyone would like to look at it after hours, you can come get it. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution 8814.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? Mr. Davis, can we please have a vote?
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
yes.
Mayor Newton.
Yes, motion passes. Next, we have so we were late. Shut up. I have to call. Next, we have a public comment. And so I apologize. We didn't have a clerk, and so I was kind of winging it, but I forgot to put a sign-up sheet. So Reverend Caldwell signed up to speak, so we'll allow him to come in to speak, and then anyone else who would like to address the council is free to come and address the council after Reverend Caldwell. Reverend Caldwell? Well, it says 5 minutes, so.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and to the city council also. My mom taught me when I was about 3 years old, I can remember that whenever someone would do something good to you or give you something, to say thank you. And I have carried that for the last 60+ years. And even during my years of ministry, I often think about the time that David gave thanks to his God for all of the blessings that he had bestowed upon him, and he praised him. And I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Flats at Colbert to say thank you for all of the work in the city council also, especially you, for the untiring work that you have done in your commitment for the Flats community. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the fire department, fire and rescue department. They have been tremendous. They have been to the facility, not only on the emergency purposes, but sometimes just to pick someone up off the floor, put them back to bed. And the ironic thing, but pleasant thing, sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, no sirens or anything, they come in real quietly and dignified. Not only that, but for the Tarrant Police Department, they have been excellent. We have had several problems at their flats. The gates have been left open. People have been trying to break in. Sometime in the middle of the night, the Tarrant Police Department came in and they made sure that everything was aware. They would do a drive-through And not only that, but our lights were often out at the complex. And if all of you are familiar with Bell Avenue and lights being out at the Tarrant community, at the flat, it is dark in there, and many of our residents have a problem really coming in and out because they're nervous. And the thing about it, your electrical department have been real persistent in making sure that we had proper lighting at the facility. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and to thank each and every one of them. Certificate of appreciation rendered to the Honorable Mayor Wayman Newton, Tarrant, Alabama, for your dedicated and professional service to the city of Tarrant and the community of the Flats at Colebrake. And also, certificate of appreciation rendered to Mr. Todd McGill and the staff of the Tarrant Electric Company for your dedicated and professional service to the city of Tarrant and the community of the Flats at Colebrake. J.E. Caldwell, President of Resident Council. Mary C. Payne, Vice President. Certificate of appreciation rendered to the Tarrant Fire and Rescue Department for your dedicated and professional service to the city of Tarrant and the community of the Flats at Colebrake. Jeremy Caldwell, President of Resident Council. Mary C. Payne. I think the last one that I kind of bypassed because I had a personal letter is rendered to Officer Philip George in the office of the Tarrant Police Department, Tarrant, Alabama, for your dedicated and professional service to the city of Tarrant and the community of the Flats at Colebrake. Jeremy Caldwell, President of Resident Council. Mary C. Payne, Vice President. Just a word of appreciation to all of y'all, to let you know how much we appreciate the services that you all have rendered. And I would like to ask that you all come to see us, Ms. Matthews. Come to see us sometime. The door is wide open, Ms. Anderson. Come to see us, all of y'all. We open the door of opportunity for you to come in and see exactly what's going on with us. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, would anyone else like to address the council?
Hello, how y'all doing today?
No.
And can you speak into the microphone?
I mean, I can, but I don't have to. This voice carries, baby, you know me. My name is Wade. I live down on Jackson Boulevard. I don't know who to call, but I have a mosquito problem. There is a ditch on the side of my house, and it just holds water. And I've called about it, no one has reached back out to me, and it's bad. Like, I can't sit out on my porch and crochet like an old woman like I normally do. It's a bunch of mosquitoes. Also, I've been watching you guys. It's really weird watching grown people act the way y'all act. It's very strange. Especially people in positions of power that has a way to make positive change, but continues to block it for others. This community is so diverse and it's so beautiful. And I love everything about it, because if you go down Jackson Boulevard, you have blacks, you have whites, you have Asians, you have Hispanics. It's so diverse, but for some reason, the blacks and whites up here can't get along, and I just don't understand how it works. It bothers me, and I felt like I needed to come and say something about it. It does not make sense. There are people that are I come from Bessemer, and there are people making fun of us. This is not New York. This is not Chicago. This is not even Birmingham. Why is it such a battle up here for y'all? They are making fun of us. And I'm from Tarrant. I'm Tarrant now. I was born and raised Birmingham, Bessemer, but I'm in Tarrant now. This is my city. I'm doing whatever I can to be a part of it. But there are so many people that are trying to block this community from moving forward positively, and I don't understand why. Please, somebody help me understand. I would love your opinion, because I'm part of the pagan society. I'm part of the LGBT community, because I'm non-binary. I would love to know your opinion since we don't have it. And you don't have one. Understand. All right, so that's my point. We can't be grown and have a conversation. We need to work with that.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Otto Hicks, and I live at 2445 Etowah Street. And the problem I have, we have a four-way stop there on Etowah, coming off of Tarrant Road, turn right and go around to Bottom Hill, four-way stop there. We have a problem with people running the stop sign, and I don't know who I need to get with or who I need to talk to about it, or maybe I'm going to, write one. And just this evening, we had about 5 or 6 cars back to back just flying through the stop sign like it wasn't even there. This happens all the time, and I'm afraid someone is going to get hurt. I know the police comes often to sit on the side of the street to try to catch them, but most of the time the drivers see the police before they get there, and they stop when they see the police. But this happened, the police is not there, and they just flying them down the road. You can be standing out there in the street in your yard, and they just run through and look at you like nothing ever happened. You know, what you're looking at. So I just need to know if there's anything we can do as a citizen, what advice do you have for us to do when this is happening?
Well, I'm actually aware of the problem, and so one of the things that I've done is we've actually ordered some speed bumps.
Okay.
And so they should hopefully be in within the next couple of weeks. And that's actually the street that I was thinking about. I wish Charlie was here, because he can actually go more in depth in terms of where we can place them, but there will be speed bumps placed on Etowah Street.
Okay. Thank
So.
you.
My name is Charles Davis. I stay at 1726 Lakeland Street. Thanks for allowing me to have words. We're very proud of the work that's being done at the Period Park. I'm an avid walker, and I really appreciate the improvements. On July the 9th, I observed 2 young men coming out of the home at 2220 Etowah Street. They stayed behind the house that burned that the fireman got injured on. And the policeman came out, and they say it's hard to prosecute them because you have to actually catch them with the goods in their hand. But I see them all the time. One of the guys ride a little blue lawnmower. He just ride through the neighborhood, stealing that deal. And I just want to know what can be done to have the home torn down, and why haven't it been demolished so far?
Well, it's been my experience from actually just in the couple of months that I've actually been in this office, having to deal with it, that just hasn't been the will to actually do it. I'm just going to be blunt with you. Certain houses, certain blight is allowed, and certain blight is deemed acceptable. Obviously, I have a problem with that, and so I was literally talking to Ferris the other day about we're in the process of doing a condemnation list to demolish some houses, and it's a little too premature for me to speak on this, but we're going to tear down some houses real soon, and that's going to be first on the list. So.
All right, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, we have arrested that guy several times. The house has been burned, we broke the windows. It has a garage right behind the house where they was running illegal power lines up on it. It's in court now, so we just wait to see the judgment. We are citing them. One time the other one, I took them all the way over. We're gonna do something, we trying.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Chuck and then Alan.
Mr. Mayor, Council. I want to direct this at Mr. Bryant. I've known him for some time now, and he seems to be the object of punching bag quite often in the city council. And I find it odd that he does not try to defend himself when he has people that confront him. I know last city council, he had, I believe Ms. Beltran and another, somebody that said they were from the LGBT community that addressed him directly. And like I said, I don't understand that. So I have a statement that I'd like to make, and I've got several questions I'd like to ask you, but I would like to give Mr. Bryant an opportunity to express himself. If, you know, I hope he don't just sit there, but I've never known him to be a dishonorable man, and I would like him to address, you know, some of the stuff that's been hurled at him.
Okay. If I may have the time there?
Sure.
Okay. We talk about the book, the Alabama League of Municipalities, and the bickering, going back and forth between the individuals here, and it really does not make any difference if the mayor was black or white or whatever. The league states that we have a council of different individuals, and these individuals have different ideas, and we express those ideas. We don't always agree, and if I don't agree, if I have an idea of something and I hardly disagree with anybody else on the council, I'm going to argue my point to the fullest. So if everybody thinks that we all need to get along, that's the league itself says you're not going to do that. The other thing that comes up, people made an accusation about me in a comment that Ms. Beltran was making, and she said something about LGBT, whatever it is anyway, and as that was going on, and about that time I think it was, I said no. And the mayor made a comment in our last council meeting that the council is not against the homosexual crowd and whatever. Well, let me say this so y'all understand. I am a combat wounded veteran. In 1966 through 68, I fought in a war. When I was in that war, I fought for the United States of America and for the citizens. I did not fight for the Baptists, the Methodists, the Presbyterians, the whites, the blacks, the Hispanic, or whatever. I fought for individuals. And when you're talking about embracing everybody, and everybody here said, yes, we all agreed to that, and that was great. I don't think you really understand what you were saying, what you was agreeing to. For example, Ms. Beltran says she is a Muslim. All right? Buddhist. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But, okay, but now let's say we had someone here as a Muslim. All right, and we embrace the Muslims. If you know anything about the Muslim religion, if you're not a Muslim, their religion says they need to kill you.
Which you know nothing about the Muslim religion. My first husband is Muslim, and I am no religion.
Do I have the floor, or does someone else have the floor?
I mean, you want to address me, so I can address you. Don't do that.
Mayor, I was talking and someone interrupted me. Could you please take care of that? And if you read the book, if somebody interrupts, you can have the police remove them.
Okay, no, hold up. Y'all used to do that with Tuck removing
this-
people.
this
the
is not
police.
y'all
No,
used to.
We're not doing that.
This is
We
talking
will
about.
not use our police to harass people.
All
That's
right.
why I draw the line,
Chuck,
because
that's-
I was on the
that's
receiving
reason
end.
I don't comment
doing it.
because,
So-
because the mayor does not take care of business like the Alabama League of Municipalities says it's supposed to be taken care of. I was talking to you and explaining something. Now, if someone wants to get the Koran and read it, or I can get it and show them to what it says. Next thing, we're talking about, and I'm going to offend a lot of people. And I don't mean to do it like this, but we're going to embrace everybody. You got a bunch in here from the KKK. Are you going to embrace them? Ain't happening, are we? So you see, I don't agree with embracing everybody. I embrace an individual. If you are a Muslim, I embrace you because you're an individual, not because you belong to that group. Jackie, you say you're homosexual, or lesbian, right?
I didn't say that.
Okay, you didn't, okay, okay. Let's say someone here is that. I don't embrace them because of their sexuality or their preference. I embrace them as an individual. So when someone comes up and says, let's embrace everybody, the answer is no. I don't embrace everybody, I embrace an individual. Now let's get back to the bickering back and forth. You just saw an example of it. There is a book called the Alabama League of Municipalities, and in that book it says if someone is disrespectful, interrupting, then the police can remove them. And I asked the mayor to do that. He said no, and that's where you get the bickering right there. Now, here, you read the law, the book. I'm telling you what the book says. The mayor says, I'm not gonna go by the book. So that's where we have the problem right there. And until the mayor decides to go by the book, like it's supposed to be, he and I will always have a difference. Now, does that, let me tell y'all something else, people. Does that mean I dislike the mayor because he and I bicker? No, no. He's a human being. He has his thoughts and his rights, and I have mine. And he can do what he wants to, and I don't go home saying I'm gonna like to beat the fool out of him or something like that. What I say is, I wish that he would do what the book says, go by the book. And we can argue all day long. Does not mean that I'm hostile toward him, and I don't really think, Mary, I don't think you're really hostile toward me, are you?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
But we're doing what politics does. And so for all the people out there in Never Never Land who think that the council is supposed to get along, no. The book even tells you that they don't get along. You've got different opinions, and you're going to express those opinions. Now, let me say this, because you're asking why I never comment. Because the last time that Jackie came up and was making comments and people yielded their time to her time after time after time, when I tried to say something, she would interrupt. And then at the end of it, the mayor asked, are you going to say anything? I said, yes. And as I started speaking, he interrupted. So knowing that I'm going to get interrupted and not be able to say what I need to say, I usually just keep my mouth shut and don't say anything. So that's the reason I don't say things, just because I get interrupted, I'm not respected, and nobody cares about what the law is, about what the rules are. They want to do their own thing here in the city of Tarrant.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you outright.
Let me, Councilor Bryant, do you mind? So I think part of the discord that you're receiving from citizens is a direct result of some of the things that your wife is posting on Facebook. And let me actually read something that she posted. She says, the
Mr.
Tarrant
Mayor,
Tatler, this also...
Listen, this is between me and Chuck and the citizens. There's nothing at all about what my wife is posting.
But
If
your
you would-
wife
if you would
speaks
please
on your
leave this-
behalf.
Would you please
She
leave my
acknowledges-
wife out of this?
She speaks on your behalf, and
No,
your
she
wife...
doesn't. No one speaks on my behalf.
The Tarrant Tatler, this also applies to the mayor and his racist ways
Sorry,
of
Mr.
getting
Davis.
rid
Sorry, Mr. Davis.
of all the white city employees so he can replace them with his chosen blacks. Some of those hired don't have the qualifications of those who quit because of the mayor or were fired by him. The city will suffer. The guys who work with street and sanitation left, and there is no one qualified to operate the machines to cut weed and grass on the sides of the roads that are not citizens' property. That is the reason why people are coming after you.
Mr. Mayor, my wife has not put anything on Facebook in quite a while, and
No, that's not true.
So was that you?
there are
That's
people.
not true, because she made a comment about me on the Tarrant Tatler just the other day.
Evidently, there's a way for someone to do something and put somebody else's name on it, because
Okay.
she hasn't put anything on Facebook in a while.
Because and I've never disrespected you or your wife. And I feel that way because I have a spouse and won't be unto anyone that disrespects Mr. Bradford. I'm just here to tell anybody.
And that's
So
what I'm
she
talking
does
about.
put on the-
This was about me and not my wife, and now
But your
the subject
wife,
has changed.
your wife puts herself in politics by posting things on Facebook, and she attributes it to you.
Mr.
If
Mayor,
you don't
my-
want your
my-
family
my-
involved,
my
then she
wife-
shouldn't post
My
things
wife can do
and
what she
attribute
wants
to
to
you.
do. She's a big girl. She can take care of herself. And I'd appreciate it if you want to talk to me about what I do, you can talk to me about what I do. I'm big enough to take care of
Well,
myself.
Well, even
Your
your
wife
wife did
seems to
say
have
on there
a
that you
fixation
were against
of-
LGBTQ. She said that in one of those groups.
She used the N-word.
Yeah.
And she calls
The
us blacks. I'm
N-word,
the other
the
black
N-word. Let's
girl.
get to the N-word.
I mean, I know I'm
do we
black.
have- Hey, do we
I
have,
do want to address what I have to say.
do we have a house nigger in here?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Do we? Hey, do we? Would she please stand up?
Y'all are seeing this, right? Cameras? All right.
That's what Miss Freeman was called.
That's what the mayor called her. What do y'all think about that? Huh? Y'all like that?
In executive session, it was not any of us.
I want to read something.
it got
Chuck,
quiet all of a
Chuck,
sudden.
I want to read. Chuck, I want to read something else that Nancy Bryant posted. She
Well,
says,
now-
"We
now we're
have
going back to my
questioned
wife.
where he lives. He owns multiple rental houses in Tarrant, but no one we have talked to knows where he lives. The address given for him at one point is a rental with a Hispanic family living there. He told my husband he is rich and can live anywhere he wants to. This was after he belittled Tarrant and said only poor people live here. He seems to think being mayor made him God. As for how he got elected, he sent vans to pick up people who probably never voted before. He promised them things for their participation to get a black mayor elected. Not sure if he paid them anything or brought a meal for them to come, but there was van after van with this name on them coming to City Hall. Of course, they were all full of blacks, smiley face."
Okay. I mean, I agree with the lady that just got up here and spoke. I've had people approach me at Little League softball games that have lived in this town and have seen what's going on in our city council meetings, and they refer to it as a circus, and I would have to agree with them. I've gotten more involved in coming to city council just for the fact that, I mean, I've been to city council in previous administrations, but, you know, here lately I've had the time to be here, and all this, you know, I believe that he's got the best interest of his district. Ms. Bradford was not my city council, Laura Horton was. I asked Ms. Horton about voting for the mayor, and she told me, I don't know what to tell you, because I didn't know that. You ran a hell of a campaign. I'll have to admit that. You know, you put out the footwork and everything. She did too. She came to my house. But because I had a relationship with Ms. Horton over the years, I voted for Ms. Horton. I've talked to this lady enough to know that she cares about our district, okay? I've talked to you. I've told you that I agree with a lot of things that are going on that you're doing. I hope that you fill every storefront on Main Street with a minority business. That can only be a benefit to this
But
city.
first of all, that's the problem. Why are you saying with a minority business? If you looked at who voted, but hold up. If you look at the people, my supporters, they're black, they're white, they're gay, they're straight, they're Buddhist, they're Muslim, they're Christian, they're atheist.
Okay, this is the point that I wanna get to.
The
Because
problem,
it always-
but
it always-
this is the problem though. There is this narrative going in this city that somehow I'm this big black wolf, boogeyman, that I'm coming to turn the city.
And I
The
don't-
problem is,
I don't
but
agree
this
with
is the
that.
problem. This is the problem though. If I did what the previous mayor did, if I had her hiring practices, then they really hate it. I make it a point to hire diverse.
I don't agree with what you
diverse
just
people.
said. I believe that you're progressive in what you're trying to do. You've got ideas about how to change the city. I think that maybe some of your practices might be abrasive, and that's proven right here, because you have problems. You and her fight like cats and dogs. You and him fight like cats and dogs. That's not racist. That's just trying to gel.
Did you understand? Did you comprehend what his wife is saying about
I
me?
understand that, you know, but like I said.
If I called you, you know, he called me a boy.
No.
He called me a boy.
No,
And
no.
his rebuttal, his
Called me a boy.
rebuttal-
No, I did not.
So,
No, I did not.
again,
No, I did not. No, I did not.
I mean, we're splitting hairs
Yeah.
there.
No, I
Okay.
did not.
this is the thing. I give the same energy that I
It's just
receive.
like they say that politics, and this is politics, makes for strange bedfellows, and for y'all to get Mr. Rubio got up and chewed all y'all out. You know, because y'all don't.
Actually, no, he got up and
He
chewed
got-
Tommy
he
out
got
because
over-
Tommy said,
Right.
you're going to go back to waiting tables.
But after he had his saying with Mr. Bryant, he addressed all of y'all as a group, said that y'all were fighting like children. Okay, the point is that this always goes back to racial issues. I've said before, I've lived here for 42 years. My dad pastored First Baptist Church in Tarrant for over 22 years. We had black folks that attended our church. We had community services that there were black folks in black churches that, you know, if people make statements, it's just like, there's a lady got up and said that they had to come fight for you to get you in office. That didn't happen. There weren't no protests. Nobody.
That's
I watched.
but that's the thing, Chuck. I keep a lot of things aren't said that actually happened. You want to know what she was referring to? The night before the election, okay? We were out setting up tents. A council member, I'm not gonna, because I don't want it to basically get into something crazy, but a council member didn't like the fact that we set up a tent where she wanted her tent to go. She made a personal call to Dennis Reno. The entire department literally came over to the parking lot of City Hall and they wanted to arrest us. You want to know the only reason why they didn't arrest us? Because I'm a lawyer. And I told them, you need to go and review the law. And so they went inside, they talked to the former city clerk, and he said they're perfectly within their right.
You know, but what you're talking about, that is pettiness. There wasn't a group of people that had signs that said, keep Wayman Newton out. You ran a very good campaign and you won, just like Ms. Thredford did, just like Mr. Bryant did. Every one of these counselors won their district because they got out. Ms. Freeman, I've talked to all of these people except for her, you know, and when I came to the last city council meeting, she was standing out in the parking lot. I mean, she had to be consoled by Mr. Rubio because of some kind of disagreement that y'all had. My problem is this is not beneficial to this city. We had the gentleman that was sitting beside me last city council that got up and spoke some very wise words to quiet everybody. People that make comments from out here that are highly racial comments. I've heard them make them towards her. That's not right. You know, I've never heard that in another city council meeting. And like I said, that may just be the way that you run things. But
I've never been into a city council meeting where the people in the galley just got to freely make comments, derogatory comments towards him, towards her. That's not fair to her. She has a place of honor.
The only derogatory comment that was made towards her was actually said by him.
Well, I'm just saying that
So,
in all the time that I've lived here, there are people that a lady made a comment, a couple of city council back, that this was one of the most racist cities in the state of Alabama. Okay, I've never seen that. I've been out and about in this city. I've never seen, we're not in a vacuum. In the last 15 to 20 years, my neighborhood's been in transition. I'm a minority in my neighborhood. I've got some fantastic black neighbors. I've got some fantastic Hispanic neighbors. People that I've trusted, I go to their house, I've eaten with them, I've socialized with them, you know. But the Tarrant that I'm hearing about is not one that I'm familiar with, you know. I don't think that our police department has, I mean, George, you know, have we ever had racial ordeals with our police department, our history?
I mean, when you talk history, you're going a long way back.
Yeah.
You know, I can only speak back to 2000 when I started.
In that period of time, that's 20, do you remember anything that,
None that I've had anything to do.
You
I
know?
can't say there happened.
Hold on, man, ask me never call.
okay,
I've been here a couple of months.
I wanna be fair.
No, listen to me, I was here a couple of months, and the old police chief was counting the black people that was hired here in a couple of months. So if you dead aware of things, there is black people is a problem to him. Now, he wanted to know how I got from as a black man.
Well, I mean,
You gonna make an excuse for it, but I'm just saying, you're gonna keep it right.
and there again, and you'll get your chance. There again, I've known Chief Reno for a long time. We've had black police officers on our police force for years. And what I'm saying, just to be fair, you know, a man got up here and said that he bought a building here, and that the man that sold him that building told him that they held KKK meetings in that building. I'm not questioning what he says. I don't know why anybody would tell somebody that, you know, but anyway, only time I can remember anything racial going on in this city was I was 19. I'm 62 now. I remember the KKK marching down Jackson Boulevard, you know, and we had a black police officer on our squad then. You know, they did their thing, you know, there wasn't any altercations or anything, you know, they made fools out of themselves and it was over with. But I don't recall any, I know what racism is, I've seen it. We live in the shadow of Birmingham. I remember as a child growing up, we heard that stuff on 3 channels. We heard that stuff all the time that went on, but it didn't go on in Tarrant. Not to my knowledge. I mean, I don't know what some of these people's, you know, life were like, you know, but like I said, my community's been in transition for 20 years. And I get along with all my neighbors, you know, and like I said, that breaks my heart. I've talked to Mr. Edford about this, you know, and like I said, I think that some of the problem, and I agree, you may have been treated unfairly, but I think some of your, you know, the fact that you have trouble with her the way that you do, you know, some of the way that you do business is abrasive, and that may be because you were an attorney, okay? So that's all I got to say about that. Questions?
well, I think Jackie wanted to do a response before you do your question.
You're the wrong color to experience racism.
I know what it is. I've seen it. I've had my daddy send me back into a restaurant when I was 7 or 8 years old to buy a hamburger for a black lady that wouldn't, that the storekeep would not let her come in.
The police are not gonna tell you that they pulled over people who are black or Mexican over you, okay?
So what you're saying, you've lived here, what, 5 or 6 years?
but I'm told about these.
Okay, you're saying that they're lying. I mean, I trust his advice.
I'm basically telling you that I have driven my neighbors of color to the store because they didn't want to walk down the street because they had been stopped by the police for just walking down the street.
Look,
They were safe with me. So these are just things that I'm told
Okay.
by people of color.
And some of what you're saying may be true. Some of what you're saying may be, I'm willing to hand that to you. But I'm married, listen, I'm married a Hispanic woman, okay? And my kids are a couple of shades darker than I am. And we had that discussion, okay? That when and if they got stopped by the police, a discussion that should be held with anybody's children, that if they ever got stopped by the police, and they did get stopped, how they were supposed to act. And a lot of time, I believe he probably attest to this, that, you know, the attitude that you get on a traffic stop, you know, depends a lot how it goes. You know, but my sons, I told both of them, you know, you be respectful, you keep your hands on the wheel, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and you do what, because at that point, the only alternative you got is with a judge, okay? So.
I'll let her speak. Let her speak.
It happens. I'm not negating anything that you're saying. It happens with these instances that you and I did report it. Before, like I said, I moved here from Tuscaloosa. Didn't have any problem. Tuscaloosa was great, but Tarrant did have its, you know, it had its reputation. And my sister had lived here for probably about 6 years, so I moved to be closer to her. And the first story that she told me was that her husband, when they moved here, he was pulled over by an officer, and that officer just was like, oh, I've never seen you around here, and I just wanted to know you. Which, as a black woman, makes me feel safe, but then at the same time, it makes me feel kind of weird, because I mostly date black men, mostly.
Well, you know, and I think some of this gets thrown off as white privilege, okay? I don't understand about that white privilege, because like I said, as a 19-year-old, that my dad was a pastor and people knew him here, I had a hot Trans Am, and I've had more than a few Tarrant police officers pull me over, write me a ticket, and follow me home.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get in on that white privilege deal. I don't know where I fell off that wagon, but, you know, wake my parents up and tell my mother and dad what stupid stuff I was doing, and I deserved it, okay? So,
I'm just
like I
scared
said,
to care for my 18-year-old son who buys, repairs, and sells muscle parts.
but I think mostly in traffic stops, the high-profile ones that we see, there's always been someone that either fought, and they can be named, you know, a lot of these police officers have lost their jobs and then been rehired because after they investigated it, you know, like the guy in Atlanta, he was drunk in a drive-through and everything, they have the whole video, they had a calm conversation, he couldn't pass his field sobriety test, and it wasn't until they went and put the handcuffs on him that it went south real fast. I respect these people, you know, I've dealt with lieutenants.
Let me say something, let me say one thing. With all due respect, Mr. Wimber, you'll never know.
And like I said, I'm willing to hand you that, because I hadn't lived your life, but I know what racism is, and I think that we've made enormous strides in this country. We elected a black president. He didn't get elected just by black people. He got elected by white people. I'm not gonna say that I voted for him, because I don't lean that way, but, you know, it's just like Eddie Sanders, our state constable that passed away not too long ago. I told him I was happy for him, you know, because he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. He got beat in Selma. He shared these things. But reason that I respected him so much is because people that did him as dirty as they did him, he could look at me with love.
And I can too, but your wife doesn't have to pray for you like I have to pray for my husband.
Right.
When he's traveling back and forth to work, when he's driving that 18-wheeler, her prayers and my prayers are different. You know, when my husband leaves the house, I'm like, Lord, let him get where he's going without any incident. Because just like you said, I know my husband is mild-mannered. And if anybody was to do anything to him, I know he did. I've been married to this man 28 years. I know him inside and out. I know his heart.
Well,
So I know he's not gonna get smart with the police. I know he's gonna have his hand, but Philando Castile didn't get smart with the police.
Well,
George Floyd didn't get smart with the police, and they're dead.
Well,
Breonna Taylor didn't get smart.
I don't even want to go
But
there.
now, we're not gonna go there, but I can tell you in this city, just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, one of our police officers talked to me so ugly, because he didn't know who I was, because I wasn't all dressed in my stuff. What are you doing here? What do you want?
And you should report
And
that.
what I did, I told him, oh, and who are you? I am Tracy B. Threadford, the counselor for this district. His whole demeanor changed. So we do get targeted sometimes.
And
And I shouldn't have to have on my lashes and wigs and glasses
I'm
and makeup to
I'm
be
willing
respected.
hand that. I'm willing to hand that. I've had, like I said, I've had Mr. Sanders express stuff to me that, and just the fact that he could look at me, and, I mean, the first time I ever met the man, he walked out his front door dressed in a suit that was all purple. He was getting married that day. I was mowing my yard, and he met me out in the street to shake hands, and he grabbed me and hugged my neck like I was his brother. And I whispered in his ear, I told him, I said, Mr. Sanders, I've lived here over 30 years. I've never had one of my neighbors hug my neck like this. And he pulled me back and looked me in the face, and he said, this is going to be a new experience for you. And like I said, he's taught me a lot. The Reverend from Winewood said it best, that there's good people, good white people in Tarrant, and there's good black people. And it's those people that are gonna have to make the difference. And bringing all this, you know, like I said, I'm not contesting that black folks in this state have not been unfairly treated, because we know that's true. But we've made strides that, you know.
Chuck, in the interest of time, I think this conversation is great. I live for this stuff. This is actually the reason why I got into politics, because I think that you need to put this stuff out. What you're saying has basically been brewing for years and years and years. This is the first time that we've had a very frank and open, honest dialogue about race at a council meeting. What I would like to do, would you be willing, I want to go out and partner with some different organizations to where we can actually have a Tarrant Talk Town Hall meeting where we talk about these issues. Would you be willing to do that? Would the council be willing to participate?
Most definitely.
Councilor Bryant?
I'd have to think about that.
Councilor Anderson? Councilor Matthews? Okay, and what we'll do, that way, so no one feels attacked, we'll actually go and we'll engage a professional consultant or company to actually come in and moderate it. But what Waynette actually said, I mean, we have a very diverse city, and we have the ability to do something in this state that's never been done. We could truly have an integrated community.
Well, that's the reason I'm saying that this all really hinges on y'all, you know, and I'm just gonna be frank with you, you know, when I watch you, you know, when there's a vote cast that you're, you know, like the nepotism deal, I buy that, I understand that, why you wanna do that, but it's like your facial expressions, you tell that you're not happy, and, you know, and then you usually give some sort of little speech after that, you know, basically you're saying, you know, the hell with everybody else, I'm gonna run it this way whether you like it or not.
Well, I'm the mayor, so.
And I understand that, but the purpose of the fact that we've got a city council is that, you know, it's something that gets voted on, you know, and unless this congeals, just like Mr. Rubio said, until y'all come to a point that y'all can meet each other on the square and, you know, you got something that you wanna get done, that you pick up the phone and call Mr. Bryant and say, hey, you know, this is, I want your input on this, that you call Ms. Freeman. I would like your input on this, you know, what is your, you know, to where y'all don't, you know, duke it out right up here in front of everybody, you know, because.
Well, the reason why we actually do that is I actually follow the law. I don't believe in having backdoor closed meetings. That's been the problem. Let me finish. That's been the problem, that people tend to meet behind closed doors. And that's problematic. Because the same response that I'm actually getting in front of the cameras, I actually get behind closed doors. So my thing is, if you're not gonna work with me, then let's just do it in front of the cameras. That way everyone basically knows what's going on.
And there in itself is why people refer to our city council as entertainment. They're, you know, it's a circus to them. They laugh about it, you know, and like I said, that makes me feel bad, breaks my heart that, you know, we have these issues. So like I said, I've talked to you, I've told you that there's things that you do that I agree with. And I'm willing to, you know, when the next vote comes up, I have no problem voting for her, you know? But like I said, putting all that aside, like I said, there was just a couple of other questions that I would like to ask, and I'll get off my soapbox. First question goes back many city councils back where Mr. Slaughter had, his liquor license and business license, and it was voted down. Him and his wife both made a comment directed squarely at you that nobody's ever questioned, and I've never understood that.
That's in litigation, so I can't speak on that.
You know, I mean, do you know what I'm fixing to ask?
Well, that's in litigation, so I can't, but this is the thing, I do everything above board. I talk in private just like I'll talk in public.
The only question that I don't understand is he made the statement that you told him if he didn't get his liquor license that you told, and I guess he's carrying forward with what he said you said, was that you told him to come back and sue. I think his verbiage was sue Tarrant's britches off, or something to that effect. And his wife got up and stated the same thing, and I don't understand, you know, I've thought about that, and I don't understand why as a mayor, you would tell somebody.
Again, I'm not gonna get into the specifics of that, but that's in litigation, but the process is you apply for a liquor license, you don't get approved, then you go, there are other avenues that you go, so.
So we'll find out about that. Okay. Only other question that I'd like to know is, I know that Ben Goldman was our city attorney for a long time. I'd like to know why he quit. You know, I've been told, I'm not gonna say why, but I would like to know what,
Ben Goldman was ripping the city off. If you've seen how much money he's been charging the city.
Ask him why he quit.
so you're saying that Mr. Goldman was stealing money from the city?
No, I'm not stealing, but he was overcharging the city. The city was paying way too much money for legal services.
Okay.
Where's our attorney tonight?
He didn't have to be here. That's part of the reason he didn't have to be here, because of this. And, you know, typical, there's nothing on there. We had 2 items on the budget. I didn't know, but I'm just assuming that's why he wasn't here. His meeting should have been over with an hour and a half ago. And he didn't have any reason to come here for something that's this, but when we get up and just ramble, we should have a public committee meeting. We conduct city business, that's why I'm here. But we're talking about things we should have.
Well, that's why we're here too, Billy, but,
I'm just saying.
I think we should put a time limit on people.
We said 5 minutes. We said, I said 3, the mayor said 5. And it's going on and on. This is not how you conduct business.
Exactly.
And we got 2 items on here.
I think that, you know, just in the interest of Chuck, I think what he actually had to say was valuable. And I think that we need to have these conversations in this city. And part of the reason why we're having the problems that we're having, both on the dais and out in the streets, is because we're not having these conversations. So I apologize for keeping everyone here by allowing Chuck to speak, but
I'm not, and that's the reason I had to get this out, because my work's gonna take me into night shift, and I may not be able to be here for the rest of the year, but, like I said, I appreciate everything that y'all do, each and every one of you, you know, that represent your districts and everything, and, you know, I just wish that y'all would, that there's some way that y'all could come together as a group, you know, and, not be a situation of, you know, it's my way or the highway, you know. Like I said, I think each one of you, I know several of you are honorable people. And, I just think for the betterment of this city, that, a lot of people agree with me that, you know, this has got to stop. So, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with y'all.
all right. Thank you. That's going to conclude our public comments. Next, we have vouchers and expenses. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the vouchers and expenses.
Mr. Mayor, before you have the vouchers and expenses for the city of Tarrant and the Tarrant Electric Department for July 19th, I'd like to introduce a motion to approve these vouchers and expenses. I make a motion that they be paid.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any unreadiness? Seeing none, hearing none. Mr. Davis, can we please have a vote?
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Gray,
Yes.
Councilmember Matthews,
Yes.
Mayor Hughes.
Yes, motion passes. Next, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Davis, this, goes, I'll send my, husband by to pick up a copy. I normally keep a copy. I just didn't have time to make a copy of the work. I'm gonna send my husband by later on in the week, and he will make a copy and leave it at your desk. And I'll just send